afternoon. This is Rita with the Union County Library System, and today we are going to talk books. And specifically, we are going to talk about books that are also TV shows. The title screen of this video has an overview of everything we're going to talk about today, and the focus is on providing access to ebooks, e-audiobooks, and shows that do not have any cost. You can access this content by going to jasmine.overdrive.com or by downloading the Overdrive or Libby apps. And if you need internet to access content, you can go to one of the library locations, either the Carnegie Library in the City of Union or the sites in Jonesville, Lockhart, and Carlisle located in their town halls. While the sites are closed, you will still be able to access internet in the parking lot. And you can download the ebooks and e-audiobooks, and then you'll be able to access them for the rest of the loan period without access to the internet. When you go to jasmine.overdrive.com, you will land on the consortium's homepage. There you'll be able to log into your account and access the Big Library Read, which is a book that everyone can access at the same time so that we all have the opportunity to talk about the same thing. On the home screen, there's also several other things that are featured, like the Libby app, which we'll look at more later, the Harry Potter at Home, which we will also talk about later, and several suggested reading lists, like Becoming an Armchair Explorer, or Looking at What's New. You'll notice a bunch of Doctor Who, talking about Spring Awakening, or audiobooks for the whole family, and self-care, as well as celebrating Women's History Month. You can also go to the top and go to Collections and select Kids or Teens to get to a curated selection of choices for appropriate age groups. On the Kids page, there's also stuff featuring new stuff, and you'll notice a couple of the options are Little Women and Harry Potter related. More on that later. And then several other suggestions, including Disney titles and stuff that's trending now. When you go to sign in at the top of the screen, you will need to select the Union Library, the Union County Carnegie Library from the drop-down. But if you do not have a library card, that's okay. You can use a phone number to sign up for a card as well. Once you've signed in, it'll take you back to the landing page that you were just on. And now we're ready to search for books and get started on talking about them. All right, let's talk about books. The first options that we're going to discuss are those that are available through PBS Kids. And if you guys have not checked out PBS Kids online, they have a great website with tons of learning activities, games, and full episodes of tons of kids shows. Many of them do have accompanying books, so I'm not going to cover all of those today. When you pull up Libby, you're going to see the main screen here, and on this main screen at the very top is where you can search for books. The first search I put in was Sesame Street. And you can see on the side that you can refine your search in case you want to look at format, language, audience, compatibility, availability, how you're sorting your results, and searching within the results. Here is one new book that I've pulled up to highlight, which is called Elmo Says a Chew. Now, with all this talk of coronavirus, kids are going to have lots of questions. There are tons of different children's books at different reading levels, like this one, which is a step into reading level 1. So for kids that are just starting to learn on their own, this is a great place to start. Next, we're going to talk about Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. There are several books available through this as well, and the one that I've pulled up is called I'm Feeling Sad. One of the things that I love about Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood is that it has so many books dealing with different emotions. This one is a great one to talk about because with all the changes, children may be facing many different emotions. Here is a screenshot that shows some other options for Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, just so you can see that right now there are 20 different books, including beginning readers, juvenile, and picture books. So several different levels of reading depending on how your child is doing at reading. Next, we have Dr. Seuss. PBS has Cat in the Hat, knows a lot about that. So in case you want to read some Dr. Seuss books, which are always classic, there are many choices here, such as Cat in the Hat. And everybody loves Cat in the Hat, and certainly helps talk about what it's like when you're stuck at home and you might be bored. Next, we have Curious George. Curious George has certainly evolved over the years, but there are both new ones, like Curious George Discovers Germs, which is, of course, relevant. But there's also Curious George for the classic. And I know that I remember reading Curious George as a kid and how much I loved it. There's also Magic School Bus, which has a lot of nonfiction, so all of it is factual information, and it's meant for some older kids, so that if you have some kids that maybe are a little older, 5 and up, this is a good place to start to provide them with some knowledgeable material. And they've got all sorts of topics inside the human body, on the ocean floor, about the senses, and dinosaurs, which who doesn't love dinosaurs? Next, we are going to talk about PBS, which is still generally family friendly, but does skew towards the adult audience. The first one we're going to talk about is The Life and Times of Call the Midwife, or the Call the Midwife series. This series is a great period drama, though I will say that I have struggled to watch it simply because I get a little squeamish about the medical stuff, and this does deal with midwifery. Another great topic is Julia Child. They have several specials on PBS about Julia Child, and you can read her cookbooks, her biographies, and several different Julia Child related subjects. We also have several books talking about Downton Abbey, and I loved this show when it was out. I think a lot of people think of it as like Upstairs, Downstairs. It's a modern version. And not only do we have fictional books that deal with that time period in this collection, but we also have nonfiction that is inspired by the show, like Christmas at Downton and Dining at Downton. There's even quiz books on here, so for those of you who get really into Downton Abbey, maybe you can quiz yourself on your knowledge. We also have plenty for the Hercule Poirot series. Pardon my poor French pronunciation. And this is from Agatha Christie, which is definitely a classic. And not only do we have the books 1 through 4 are definitely in the collection, and then several others, including a collection of 50 different Agatha Christie stories. And we have both the ebook and e-audiobook, which for many of these we have ebook and e-audiobooks available. This one, which is still part of the PBS platform, is really kind of a mixed age. Little Women was originally written to be a kids chapter book, and it is a series. There's Little Women, Good Wives, and Little Men, and we have the full collection. We also have several in the collection, including Little Women as an early reader, and several different levels of the text for being able to read it with kids. You will notice sometimes when you do search that maybe you get a result that isn't related to the series. It usually is pretty obvious, like this one with Good Daughter coming back under Little Women. And the reason why this one comes back is because the author's name is Little. But generally you can see that there's all the Good Wives, Little Men, and many different versions of Little Women. Switching from PBS over to BBC America, we're going to talk about another couple of series. The first one is Doctor Who, and I personally love Doctor Who. We have a pretty good collection of more than 24 items or titles relating to Doctor Who, including fictional tellings of the stories from the episodes and inspired fiction like Time Lord fairy tales. This is great, family friendly, and It's great for those that love science fiction. The other suggestion for BBC America is Killing Eve. Now, there's only a couple books available online because this is a new series, and it's definitely TVMA. It's meant for adults, but if you love a good thriller, this is a great option. And both of the options on BBC America, Doctor Who and Killing Eve, do have several free episodes available for you to watch. Next, we're going to switch over to Netflix. So a couple of options on Netflix include the Witcher series. Again, definitely TVMA, so meant for adults. And you'll notice that if you are looking for The Witcher, that there are many different search results that you could choose. If you select Witcher Saga, then you will get just the books relating to the original series. If you type in just The Witcher, like I have at the top, you will get related fiction, including the graphic novels. So should you prefer a graphic novel or comic book format for reading, then this is one where there are both options for the traditional text as well as the graphic novel. So here is an example. It's volume 1 of the graphic novel. And then the other one to feature on Netflix is Altered Carbon. Again, this is a newer book series, and they're on their second season now of Altered Carbon on Netflix. Again, TVMA, but if you love science fiction, this is a great option. The Witcher is fantasy, and has only 1 season so far on Netflix. All right, so now we're gonna switch to HBO. And HBO is featuring several free episodes and free movies right now. All you have to do is search for free episodes on HBO on Google, and you'll get them to pull back. One of the free episodes right now is the first one in the His Dark Materials series. That's a series by Philip Pullman. The book is The Golden Compass, is the first one in that series. There are 3. This series starts out younger and then gets older as the books go through the series. So keep that in mind. The content is pretty heavy. I know when I read Golden Compass as a kid, it was pretty serious and pretty hard for me to read. So make sure that you're ready to talk about it with kids if you have them read it. And just be aware that it may be a little bit more serious, though it is still appropriate and written for children. And so some of the options on Libby include a compendium or omnibus of all 3 books, as well as each book in the series. And like I said, the first one in the series is The Golden Compass. And this cover is the TV tie-in cover. And you can watch this first episode of this series on HBO for free right now. All right, now we are going to talk about Harry Potter. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I do identify I have been sorted into the Slytherin house. So right now they're doing a Harry Potter at Home special, which means that you can read or listen to the first book in the Harry Potter series, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And they actually have almost every language you can think of available in the collection. So depending on what your preferred language is, there's several options. So if you click on that from the home screen, it'll take you to the Harry Potter collection. But if you just search for Harry Potter and just type in the words Harry Potter and then maybe sort by most recently added to the collection, you'll be able to pull back a bunch of books that also relate to Harry Potter. So in case you guys as a family really want to do a Harry Potter marathon, whether that's reading the books or watching the movies, there's a bunch of related stuff, including a journey through the history of magic, an unofficial joke book, unofficial cookbook, and even the science of Harry Potter. So understanding if you flew on a broomstick, what would that mean? And then last but not least, we are going to talk about J.R.R. Tolkien and The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings series. So both Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings are not available on a free platform right now, but there are many networks that regularly do marathons of these movies. So it's a great set to read to be able to then watch the movie afterwards. And J.R.R. Tolkien has written quite a range of books, but the ones that everyone is familiar with generally is The Hobbit and then the Lord of the Rings series. Now, The Hobbit is actually meant as a children's book. So all of the movies, the Lord of the Rings movies and the Hobbit movies, are all rated PG-13. However, the Hobbit book is actually children's fiction. And so this is a more advanced chapter book, but definitely written for children. And something to note is that when you scroll down on Overdrive, you'll get more information about the different items, including how many copies are available, the format, suggested other options like an audiobook, and then other classic literature, since J.R.R. Tolkien is considered classic. And here is the Lord of the Rings results. So instead of searching for J.R.R. Tolkien, we switched it to Lord of the Rings. And again, this does the same thing as with Harry Potter, where you can get related texts as well, including the Lord of the Rings soundtrack. All right, so we will post that title screen and we'll play it again at the end of this video for you to be able to review it. We have the age levels for the TV shows or movies listed under the title of the series for reference. A lot of times the books do skew younger than the TV series, and those ages are just recommended. So for PBS Kids, the ages are generally based on what the estimated reading capacity is based on that age. So if it says 2 and up, it's because that's probably content that the 2-year-old would be able to understand. We hope that this helps you guys come up with more things to read, more things to do, to stave off boredom during this difficult time. And we are happy to help as much as we can at the library. If you guys need access to materials, feel free to give us a call, send us an email, shoot us a message on Facebook. We are here to help. Thank you.